Welcome, beautiful souls, to this is going to be such an exciting chat with my darling sister, Solreta Antaria. How are you today?
I'm really well, thank you. I'm so excited to do the show, and it's just always lovely to connect with you. And I I'm so excited about like where we go. So I might get like a little bit of a concept or a download from spirit on when we're going to go. But that's what I love doing these shows with you, because it's always just this unknown, but you can sense magic.
Oh, yes. And I was so delighted to be on your show just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
I felt so high for like hours and hours after we're such a connection that we have. And we go up into this goddess mystical realm and download so much goodness. And that's why I felt the title for today needed to be Cosmic Downloads. And I really feel it's great to speak to the fact that we're not always downloading information, we're also uploading information. So we tend to see the download as the one coming from the higher dimensional realms. Yet we've also got the lower dimensional realms. And when we say lower and higher, we don't mean good nor bad, right nor wrong. It's just simply the human speak that we have to denote where these dimensions sit. And perhaps we can talk a little bit more today about what different dimensions mean. Some dimensions more about sound and color and geometry. Other dimensions more about the physical matter, like the third dimension that we're inhabiting as humans. But we've got access to these other dimensions. So, of course, we need to really pay reverence to beautiful Mama Earth, and the iron crystalline core is the first dimension, and we can receive so much wisdom and insight there. And we might say the Akashic records are stored there. Maybe they're stored in the eighth dimension as well. It's interesting because as we discover more about the dimensions, we have intuitive sense of maybe they're stored on a physical level there, but the access point is more on a mystical, higher dimensional level. That may be the way I perceive it. You may perceive it a different way, and then people watching may perceive it a different way. But it's useful to get into all of the storytelling around the dimensions so we know that we've got more available to us than what we see with the world, with the two eyes looking out into the world. We've got the other aspects. And then the second dimension is the telluric realm. And this is so enchanting. The fairies in the Devic realm, and the pixies and the salamanders and the mermaids. And they offer us so much enchantment and a reminder of what we came to experience, because humans really have buggered up the earth a lot, haven't they, Sorita? We need to get back to the mystical wonderland of what we really can experience here. So would you like to have a chat about, just in a general sense, about the multidimensionality in which we have access to, including those first and second dimensions that we often don't pay attention to? So we've got the uploads and the downloads coming in today for us.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is perfect timing, because I was having a great chat with a friend who's a quantum physicist yesterday, and we were talking about, waves and particles, and we were talking about how, when you break down our physical matter, we're really just a tablespoon of electrons. That's really all of the physical matter, and everything else is kind of space in between. And, he was mentioning that, part of you is having this conversation here, but there's another part having a conversation here, and another part having a conversation here. And we've got all of these multiple realities and electrons that are buzzing and kind of, in alignment together. We were talking about, what was it? Like quantum, we were talking a little bit about quantum mechanics, but also if we look at, I guess, all of these other realms, and if we look at how we're vibrating in this physical realm, this third dimension, we're also vibrating in these other realms at the same time. So I think when you're talking about accessing, Akashic records and other different levels and various different dimensions and the elementals and different things, I feel that we have all of the, I guess, electrical energy that we need in the here and now. And part of my fun little research at the moment is looking at how can we harness this electricity, and how can we tap into this, whether it's, some people would call it like a supernatural field, or is it something that's innate to us, meaning, in terms of governing electricity, because we are electrical beings. So it's part of this electrical energy that is able to perceive visual spectrum in different realms. So even though we're told that like human visual spectrum is, from here to here, it's actually, much further. And when we start to use our higher senses and we start to use this avatar connected to the spiritual senses, not just the physical senses, we're able to perceive a much wider view of reality, and a much wider sense of reality, because some of us are going to be visually dominant, others are going to be more tapping into like the auditory side of these worlds, and to the music of the spheres. And I guess what spirit keeps bringing me back to at the moment is this electrical energy to do with it. So if we look at tuning into the noise of electricity, we start to pick up on subtleties, and we start to feel how that electricity corresponds to us. Now, there's a lot of synthetic electric energy happening at the moment too. So I just want to distinguish between, that which is synthetic, or that which is kind of unhealthy or toxic electricity, in comparison to that which is like a natural chi that we can harness from that universal flow and from that life force flow. Some people will call it ki, some will call it chi, others will call it prana, or just life force energy. But I think that when we can understand that we're beings that work with this electricity, and we can utilize this physical biofield and this physical body plugged in with our soul energy into this avatar, we can navigate through multiple dimensions. And it really is just through that subtle listening in and that subtle feeling, and also telling our brain when we see flashes out the corner of our eyes, or we see orbs outside in the garden, which we have a lot here, and little fairies and things. When we start to go, oh wow, I just saw that light. What happens is we build that synapses, ropey brainwave pathway in the brain, and we really strengthen it, and becomes something that our brain will then be looking for more of that data, more of that information, because we are essentially supercomputers in this way too. So a very ADD way of describing
I love that.
how we kind of plug into this world.
So beautiful. And why would you say, Solreta, that many people don't trust that mystical enchantment that's coming in via the orbs, that seeing with the peripheral vision, that may have a galactic communication, that may have seen some activity in the sky, may have been a UFO, and then immediately the skepticism comes in and they say, no, that can't be right. I need to go back to scientific proof. What's happened within the structure, the DNA, let's say, of the human, where we've shut that ability down to perceive between the worlds? What would your take on that be?
So I think it's a combination of being told that we're limited, being told that, we're not, I guess, when we're told that we're a virus on the planet, or that we're destructive and we're this and we're that, it's the same way as if you had an abusive parent. So if you've got, facilities, and you've got indoctrination, I was going to say camps, indoctrination, schools and things like that are indoctrinating us into this limited view on reality. Because I think there are seeds of truth that are told to us, possibly like about some of our history, possibly about some of the way that physics works, or the way that, the universe works. And it's up to us to detect what is it that resonates with our biofield? What is it that resonates and becomes synchronistic? So we're starting to kind of like get this vibration moving and going. And what is it that really just doesn't feel right? So I think if we can look at what we've learned so far from being children, and there's like this kind of finite quest that I've had, and a lot of other starseeds that I know, and a lot of other people that love sci-fi and things, there's always this quest and a thirst and a hunger to seek out movies, documentaries that talk about this mystical experience, that talk about this magic, or even to seek out our own journeys, whether it's plant medicine, meditation, yoga, mindfulness, coming together with like-minded people, sound healing. So many of these things, that is coming from a really deep core part of the heart or part of our spirit rather than just from the logical mind. And I think that we're indoctrinated to say that mind is more powerful than the heart, or that we're told that we have to, everything in school has to be through the mind. But what about the school of the heart? What about, all of these synchronicities that we go through? What about like bioresonance and heart coherence and brain and heart coherence? Where are the schools for this? And I think that's what you're doing with your beautiful school, is that this is like one of the schools, and what I do with my teaching and things too. This is teaching us to use that heart and to step into this space. So I think this is something that was inbuilt in me as a child, and with my rebellious spirit, not in a bad way, but just rebellious in that I didn't believe what I was told in regards to, with the universe, or when we die, or, where babies come from. Because I was really asking for that higher question of where did the souls come in? So I was never satisfied with the answers that I could get in school. And I think this is probably speaking to a large part of the audience that's watching today. So this is to really start using your body as a biofeedback. What resonates, what feels right to you, not just listening to the information that's told and having to discover, do we choose path A or B? It might be neither. It might be, foregoing the paths that people have walked down and really kind of, following that soul guidance, following that God essence, and the, that call that we get from higher self and the universe to walk on our own path.
Oh, so beautiful, Solreta. Just you describe things so perfectly. And I really feel we need to pay attention in every now moment to the synchronicity that is always available. We may not perceive it at that time, but the universe is always communicating to us. And so I love when Mishi said, I am crazy. Sometimes you need to own you're crazy, meaning that you're willing to see outside of the box that has been built for us and see the omens. There's always divine omens that are coming as that reminder or that confirmation that you are either on the right track or that you are possibly off track. So the omens will come either way and will show you the way, combined with the feeling and the experience of self. And we must stay attuned to our chakra system, because what I've been experiencing lately is, being a yoga teacher for so many years, over 20 years now, I've always known on a technical level, yes, the chakras are spinning wheels, they're vortexes. But what's happening for me with this major galactivation that's happening, and for so many at this time, is that the galaxy is a spiral. So, of course, the spiral energy from above is communicating via the spiral energy through the chakras. And so if we stay attuned to those centers, we are receiving always the highest dimensional wisdom and knowing and downloads, as our say. And it comes through, and we have that feeling of what is right or wrong. I love that you said it may not be this path or this path. There may be another path altogether that we haven't perceived. But coupled with that, in the macrocosm, is this direct communication coming in always. There's always a sign, a synchronicity, a song that pops in your head, literally a book that falls off the shelves, a message. It can come via social media, a meme that stands out to you over and above the other memes as you're scrolling through. There's something that's drawing you in to say, this is the message for me today. It's always there and it's always available. And so we enter into the mystical realm and we learn to trust in that realm. And people say, well, you're intuitive, but I'm not. Well, the fact is we are all intuitive. The difference is, do you trust your intuition or don't you? So if people can just turn up the trust dial, then they'll find that even if they perceive, look, oh, that was my imagination, I'm being a little bit crazy. Yeah, sure, you are. But that's actually how you learn to trust all that higher knowing and all that download or upload, as I said earlier, that's coming in for you. So there's a whole support network around us. And as humans, we have to remember that we have free will. It's one of the highest technologies that we have at our disposal. We can therefore use that for or against our development. And when we say, please, universe, please, fairy realm, please, ET realm, please, God, Goddess, source code, all that is, whatever you're communicating with, angels, guides, loved ones who have crossed over, As soon as you say, please assist me, please support me, all the portals open and all that support rushes in. And I really feel that that's what people are maybe forgetting to do, not just on the daily basis, but sometimes, particularly with the intensity of the world at the moment, which we'll get into shortly, we almost need to be asking in every moment. We need to call in all of that support. And it does come and it is there. And you'll be surprised, therefore, the miracles and the magic that starts to unfold. I've experienced that so much in my life where I've backed myself into a dark corner thinking there's no way out of this mess that I've got myself in, or the mess of the world that we're in, and then calling in all of that support. Then there's a gap or a window that opens or a door flies open. It's like, yes, this is the way through this. And you feel that connection to all that is. And if we can train our minds, if we can really rein the mind in just to be in the absolute now moment, then we're not caught up in the if onlys of the past. I've been doing that over the last few days. Oh, if only I hadn't done that, then I'd be in a better position today. Oh, if only I hadn't wasted money there, then I'd be in a better financial position today. All of these what ifs, which really is a form of insanity, because when you check yourself, you're not going to go back in time other than doing some kind of great healing technique. You're not going to go and change that reality. So therefore, we have to come into acceptance that that was a perfect experience. And if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't have learned what I needed to learn. And therefore, I wouldn't have the wisdom that I am holding within my cells and my DNA in this now moment. So it's always making peace with what has been. But also, too, the mind wants to jump into the future. And I guess this is where we need to speak to today. We want to get into controlling outcomes because we see the government mandates coming at us. We know that soon they could be laws. It's really going to change the way we're living. We've already had a huge change in the way we're living, and our freedoms definitely have been affected. So if we jump into controlling all the future timelines, and we're only doing that from a point of density, and I say that with love for all of us, but density meaning we're only seeing it from a third density perspective. We can't see higher perspectives. We can't see that the magic and the mystery and the miracles will enter. So we start controlling from that third density perspective. And of course, we can't see any way out of this. And therefore, what we project, we put our energy into, and paradoxically then that could become our reality if we don't check ourselves and draw ourselves back into the now moment and back into the connection of all that is. And so this is the merry dance that we do on the spiritual journey. And even knowing this doesn't mean that we live it in every moment either. Of course, we certainly don't. So do you want to just speak on a personal level, Solreta? And I'll speak on a personal level as well.
Yeah,
I
sure.
have been freaked out the last few days, and I am experiencing the fear coming in. For me in Queensland, we've been told that people can't enter the state unless they have the inoculation. And what that means that for those who don't choose it, and of course there's a myriad of reasons for those who don't choose it, and we must honour all sides of this narrative. But for me, it's knowing, therefore, I potentially become a prison within my own state. Is this the way forward? And then do further restrictions start to roll out if we acquiesce to this particular mandate? So, I definitely have been drawing myself back into present moment awareness. I went and did some really, uber rituals last night, lots of yoga practice, and not just the postures and the breath work and the meditation, but, got the drum out, started banging the drum while I was chanting, and got the singing bowls out. And all of these, we talk about higher dimensions and sound and frequency. It plugs us back in to those realms so we can access then that higher wisdom and that higher knowing. But how are you going? And, you're in Victoria. You guys have been rough end of the stick as well.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I love everything you're talking about. And to me, it just brings me back to quantum entanglement, because, if we are stepping into the past, or we're getting caught up in, certain narratives that have been put out by MSM, that's only just one view. And if we get caught in that entanglement and we start to make it part of our everyday essence and part of like our everyday makeup, our brain's going to look for more things that will verify that. And what I find is that, there is a lot of connection with MSM and other information that we're hearing. So it's really important to keep that ear to the ground, so to say, as we hear different things from different people coming in and out of different states. So I know even with my parents that like to travel a lot, when they look up the websites, there's no information that actually is clear that says like where you can travel, where you can't travel. And then I hear from friends that get over different borders and different things. Oh no, I got over the border fine. It's kind of different to, and I hear about people flying and they get in the airport, they get off the plane and they're fine. So I hear different stories. So I think there's a lot of possible hearsay coming from MSM. So it's hard to know like what's true, what's not true, whether there is the fine print of where you opt out, you don't contract with, certain government bodies or certain entities. Yeah, so I think we're sort of still possibly under a veil of illusion. I don't know if it's 100% true just yet. So that's something I need to research and find out, because I want to get up to either Queensland or New South Wales myself, and also personally being affected with, loved ones taking the vaccine. And I guess what's sort of not talked about so much is that split between the two different worlds, between this world that we're seeing created that has been, I guess, coming up for more than a year and a half, because we all know that patents and other things were registered well before. It only takes a little bit of digging to see just how far back this current operation has been going on for. So I think there is that world, there is that reality, and that is one really strong narrative, because we're seeing it come through the magic boxes and different screens that we watch. But then there's the other one of what's happening on a higher spiritual level. And when we plug back into source, and it was funny, I picked some cards to represent like what to talk about and everything, as I always do, and both were this gold beautiful energy streaming in, coming down from source, and it was a completion. It was about the initial startup and then the completion of that energy. So it's telling us to hold the light, hold strong, no matter what we see, no matter what the narrative is, to always like have that be the highest purpose, the highest intention. That is that ascension energy and bringing it onto the planet. And that's part of why we're here. And then if we look at the positive quantum entanglement of that, as opposed to the other controlled narrative that we're seeing played out, that means you're going to start bringing people that speak your language, that speak your heart, that have that connection to source. Just like you and I being soul sisters, it brings people like us into alignment with each other. And you will meet in the weirdest places, the strangest times. You'll meet online, you'll meet in person, you'll meet in Whole Foods, you'll meet in, other organic grocery stores and places where there is consciousness that we see, that is present, that is awakened. And there's a light that streams forth from these people, rather than a density of fear that is possibly, weighing down. So it really isn't, everyone has the decision to make their own choice, and whatever choice people make for them is right for them in that moment. I do know of and hear of people that have possibly gone down that path of fear and path of indoctrination and have, oh, hi, Zoe, and then have wanted to, switch into the other one. So there's always time to, to reconnect and to heavy metal detox. We need to get this graphene oxide out of the body. We need to really start to work hard, whether we've gone down one path or the other. We need to, choose that middle path. We need to keep connecting, no matter which path we've chosen. Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. Oh, people are saying hi to my mum.
Hey, Mum.
She's famous.
She is.
Jumps in on our lives like a good mum. Thanks for supporting. Wow. It's interesting about the graphene. Just last night, there's another synchronicity, because just last night I was watching something that spoke a little bit more. So it's coming in via water. It's coming in via the vax. There's. Can you speak? I don't know much about it, Solreta, so I'll let you just speak a little bit more about what we need to do to detox from that.
Yeah, so apparently it's it has been put into our atmosphere, as you said, like in the water and things like that too. I haven't been able to research to find out like things to back it up, but that's what I'm hearing from others at the moment. And I know that the people that are telling me are full-on mad scientists when it comes to research. So this is why we all need to be heavy metal detoxing. There's different sprays that you can get. You can do, juicing with cilantro, coriander, parsley to help remove heavy metals. What happens when we start to get these heavy metals into our system? Thank you. Yeah, when these heavy metals start to come into our system, they do migrate up into the brain. So when we're injecting them past our lines of defense, so we have our first line of defense is our skin. Another line of defense would be tonsils. Another line of defense is blood. So if we're putting things through the skin into the bloodstream, especially if they've got heavy metals, these will eventually migrate not only around the blood cells, and you'll see dark field microscope peaks of all these little magnetoinfections that are around these blood cells, literally changing the platelet of our blood to more of an elliptical, elongated platelet, not that healthy sort of red blood cell that we're used to seeing. But these heavy metals will migrate up into the brain, causing damage to frontal lobe, especially, which other people talk about being similar to mad cow disease. So we start to lose control over emotions. Some people are said to possibly start to have more anger switched on in the brain to do with this, and others perhaps become more compliant and more docile, which was the initial way that this was sold to the military, which people look up and see video from, I think it was maybe like 2014, 2015, had Bill Gates in it, demonstrating and talking about how this will make those that are perhaps, it was talking basically about the God gene and the God particle and how with injecting it will switch this off. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want anything to happen channel-wise. So just be mindful of that. But there is info out there if you guys follow my words to be able to, put it in and search for yourself. A lot of this is better to search outside of the normal everyday search that people would use. I recommend going into DuckDuckGo and different places like that to actually find the real information.
Yeah, thank you. We're really at a critical point. We need to go and be doing as much research as possible. I did a podcast called God or Beast that speaks to that exact topic of the DNA as our God code and how that actually gets scrambled. And so for me, and again, I'm not saying what's right or wrong. For anyone listening, you've got to find your own truth. And this is what our pathway is all about. And I must say that ultimately there is no wrong path, because the soul is just experiencing what the soul needs to experience. And like we all have in our lives, we have sometimes gone down so-called wrong paths, but that's how we've learned and that's how we've woken ourselves up. So we never chastise ourselves for any decisions that we've made. But at the same time, we do need to honor that we can utilize that free will as we choose, that highest technology that we have as humans. How are you going to utilize your free will? What pathway are you going to align to? What are the consequences of that pathway? Go in with a full mindfulness so you know what's happening and what the ramifications may be. And to know that you are not a victim. You are never a victim. If you remain sovereign and in command of self, and you make choices based on the research that you've done, based on that deep inner knowing through the attunement to your chakras and your feeling centers and the omens that come in every now and moment, go forward. You can't say for anyone what's right or wrong. However, for me, yes, I do believe that this inoculation will scramble the DNA. It's not an unknown fact. Even the vax companies are saying it's a gene therapy. So it's affecting the mRNA, so messenger RNA. So the messaging system that comes in via the galactic or higher dimensional realms, also coming up from the first and second dimensions. Would you really want to scramble that decoding system? And that's what the DNA is. It's a decoding system. So if people can frame it that way, they may have a better insight into what's right or
Yeah.
wrong for them. So we know healers are telling us that they're seeing the disconnection from the spirit when people have had the inoculation. So the body and the spirit seems to be floating around. Anyone who does body work, energy work, Reiki, these sorts of things, they're seeing clients pre-inoculation and then post-inoculation, and they're seeing that the spirit is not connected to the body anymore. And maybe we can pull the cards on this as well, Solreta, as well as your own insights. What can people do? We've already talked about the detox, and great comments. I haven't got them all up as yet coming in about using essential oils and these sorts of things, which, yeah, absolutely you can. There's questions coming in about that. What can we do? But I'll just jump onto Liz's great question here, and then we'll get into maybe a little bit of a card spread on what can people do if they have had the inoculation, but then they decide, you know what, I found out a little bit more. Maybe I do feel that aggression is coming through me, like you spoke about. That's another thing I've heard a lot. It's making people aggressive. They feel very discombobulated. They're not getting higher access anymore to downloads, to spirit messages. So maybe we can look at that. But a great question from Liz. Have you wondered if there's a possibility we are living out two different realities? There's such a divide. I wonder if perhaps there is, and if part of our journey is to be okay with that. So I would say absolutely. There's prophecies of the two road split, and Solreta and I were actually talking about this before we came on live. So you've tuned in there.
Definitely.
We definitely feel that, and that's okay. We're learning to bring love, acceptance, peace to all the experiences here. Of course, people get riled up and angry. I get angry as well, but there's a way to harness anger and use that as a motivation to get where you need to go. But if we remain in anger about what some people are choosing, then that's when it becomes toxic for us. But also what came through for me, Liz, when you asked that question, is the concept of parallel lives. We're going to go really deep woo-woo here.
Love it.
Are we actually living parallel lives? Do we have a lifetime in another parallel universe concurrently with the lifetime that we're experiencing here? And if so, and if this aligns with you, and it certainly feels right for me, are we already having that 5D or higher dimensional experience, or even another 3D experience in a parallel Earth? And can we draw wisdom and frequency and energy from those parallel lives to help us with this timeline that we're in at the moment, where we kind of wake up each day and it's like, I feel like it's Groundhog Day. It's like, yep, still in this body, avatar, Carrie Anfield, we're on this timeline's driving forward. Can't get out of this one yet. Some cord's keeping me connected here, but can I access all these parallel worlds? And is there the concept, if people remember the movie Sliding Doors, is there the concept of the sliding doors moments? There's big marker points in our life where, oh, maybe I could have gone there, or maybe I could have gone there. Are we having different realities? Are we also the people that have been inoculated? Well, absolutely we are, because when we realize we're one stream of consciousness, there's a part of us that's having the experience of being vaccinated and what that means. And yeah, I mean, again, this is deep woo-woo, but I know the people listening, there's so many comments in, I'm not even getting to them all, but guys, you get it, right? I can see it on my peripheral vision. People are like, ding, 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 ding. People understand this. But anyway, take it away, Solreta.
Oh, I love it. And there's like 10 different directions my brain wants to go right now, because it's such an exciting conversation. And I can see in the comments too, people really are getting onto it. So we definitely are experiencing more than one reality simultaneously overlapped or overlaying. So what I was shown the start of last year was a Visca Pisces, so two interlocking circles, and felt that we were shifting from that old third dimensional reality, kind of walking that middle, path afoot in each world, where we're sort of heading now for a lot of us that are working with these higher vibrational frequencies and really working with, coming into alignment with our soul path, our soul mission, our soul family, and really here to fulfill this prophecy. We're starting to step outside of this energy. And so what we're feeling is almost this pullback in this darkness and this heaviness to this old third dimensional reality. So sometimes in those darkest days, in those heaviest moments, it's because we're experiencing that shift. And so we need to like purify, we need to wash it off, we need to let go of this to remember that connection to source, which will help shift us into this higher frequency. So definitely taking care of the body temple, because we're shifting from being carbon-based, heavy, denser beings into more of a light-based beings. Even I've posted photos just recently. I've had some people take photos of me where there's, light coming in. Even when I was out visiting the cows, and my dad took a photo, and there's a rainbow over the back of me in 2 different photos that he took, and yet the sun was not in that direction. So we're starting to manifest this physical light into this realm. So it really is looking at what can we do to anchor this light within this physical body. So this comes back to the electricity. So if we're electrical beings, do we want to plug into something that's heavy, dense, old, dirty electrical energy? Or do we want to go directly to source and directly to that soul frequency part of us? Now, part of the grieving that a lot of us are feeling at the moment is those that have, I guess, blue-pilled back into the matrix, or have altered the pure genetics, because our DNA is changing, it is shifting. And that's what a lot of us are feeling. Now, if there's been a hold placed on that, a manipulation placed on that, heavy metals placed in with that. And there's so many amazing videos out there that explain what this is actually doing to us on a genetic level. Cliff Hyde has a really great one. There's a couple of other people. There's a lot of doctors out there that are getting censored that have great videos on what this actually does on a gene level and on more on the physical side of it. So I won't speak too much about it, but I saw someone say about wheatgrass, definitely get onto the wheatgrass, anything that has high biophoton energies. So a lot of what we're told about the sun, there's some falseness to it, there's some truth to it. But when we look at the codes that are coming in from the sun at the moment, now you can go out when it's in a low UV radiation level. So go out to sun gaze in the evening, sunrise in the morning. You can feel into it and actually get these codes coming from the sun. You'll literally feel it come in on an alchemical, etheric body level, and you can feel it change your density. You can start to feel yourself almost like an orbing taking place. You feel your energy start to kick up a notch and start to work with these new frequencies that are coming onto the earth. So we are having a shift on a solar level, on a planetary level, on a unique personal level. But part of the collective consciousness energy that we're feeling, and part of that sadness, is from that old heavy dimension that's still kind of weighing us down. So really important to recognize it, and even just say to yourself, like if you're having a heavy day, this is part of that old dimension. It's part of what we're leaving behind. Make a conscious effort to reconnect and to recalibrate to these new frequencies, whether it's to, hey Josh, whether it's to, come into alignment with beautiful people like Josh that just appeared, and to, get your hearts to actually come into coherence and start to, even just with you and I having this conversation, my energy feels so much more picked up than sitting and wallowing in the dark depression of family getting shots and things like that. So we need to actually consciously break away from this heaviness. And I know that it's hard, and I know that a lot of people are really suffering on a mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual level. So this is where we need to find the tribes. And it's finding our tribes that will get us through these dark days. And when we do, and when we start to actually resonate and look after and govern ourselves, and I mean the word govern in a spiritual, physical, emotional sense, because, and even just the way that we govern ourselves on the earth too, we need to have full personal responsibility for the life that we're creating, for the connections that we have. We need to realize that we have free will. And that is the one thing that is trying to be squished out of us at the moment. So the more that you can hold on to free will and having a free mind and a free heart, the better life will be. But definitely a split and a shift taking place more than ever.
I might get you to pull some cards. It was a great question that came in before.
Yeah.
But
that's what I was saying to you yesterday. Let's do cards for like the third dimension, the old, and we'll do one for where we're going.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely chatting to you and just feeling the energy of the people who are here with us. It definitely raises the vibration because I'm such an emotional being, and that water element within me can take over, and I just kind of want to go and wallow and drown in my own sorrows about the state of the world.
Yeah.
And what you just said is so important, because when we come together as a collective, we raise the vibration back up. And this, again, if we consider what it means, the higher dimensional realms are color, sound, vibration. Think of what Tesla taught us. So we're always needing to work at that level, because that's what then grids down into the third dimension. So this is where people, are called moonbeams and crazy and all of this, but you're actually doing the highest and most divine responsible work by going into areas where you're shifting vibration. So this, again, the sound healing, we've spoken about it already. Chanting, moving your body, dancing, getting also your feet and your hands into the earth, gardening, these sorts of things really do get you in touch with all the other dimensions. So you're not then stuck in the logical left brain, problem solving, planning, analyzing mind that then feeds back into, I'm going to call it the cabal system, where it siphons off your life force energy and puts you into an automated type of dumbed down entity, instead of realizing that you are powerful beyond all measure. And of course, that cabal system feeds off your energy field, because they know how powerful humans are, but do you know how powerful you are? And this is what we're coming down to. And of course, everything that's happening to us does create powerful activation. So when we make peace with that, we just stay active and move into the next highest dimension. I'm going back just to find this. Great question. I know it's here.
Okay. Hi, Ben. I'm just seeing some beautiful soul family popping up there too.
Oh, nice. This great question by Rebecca. Some people have had 2 to 3 jabs, seem so normal, no reactions. Will some go on totally unaffected by the jabs? Can I just give you my cosmic download, Rebecca? And there's everything's multidimensional, so there's never one way or another way. There's always everything's technicolor, so there's always something, not black or white or even gray. There's other parts of the spectrum, but I will just say, because what's coming in for me is that there's many benign saline type jabs that are going on at the moment that have been put in amongst the real jabs. And this is why we're seeing some people with absolutely adverse reactions and death, and why we're seeing some people as okay, because if everyone fell over together, then that cabal agenda would be seen very, very clearly. So we must look at the insidious nature of the cabal and what that agenda is about, and see it from that perspective also, because maybe the fact is that not all jabs are the real jabs. So that's my download, but I'll let Solreta do a card read and see what comes through.
Yeah. So with that, I have seen it slip in a couple of interviews where they're talking about, the control groups and talking about saline shots, things like that. The other thing that we need to look at with gene therapy too is there'll be some people that have instant adverse reactions, and then there'll be those that have autoimmune implications that come in over the next 2 to 3 years. So this is not something that, with the intensity and with the short time distance that we're seeing within shots and things, we might see a compounded effect when we start to add up different shots. But yeah, it's more sort of 2-3 down the years track that we'll start to really see the full implications and other possible side effects, and not just on a personal level, but like, I guess, to the human race and to what this means. I have heard word from other people, and I won't sort of disclose it, but I know that there's companies that are talking about hiring or talking about, 2-3 years time, need to hire different people because the ones that have had it might not be around. So yeah, it's a really hard thing. And I think that we have such amazing minds and such amazing hearts when it comes to a holistic approach with medicine. So I do have hope in the human race that if something was very sinister and something was very nefarious that we're feeling and picking up on, because a lot of us are, I would hope that there is that other side that's able to work with a detox and things. Even just on a personal note, my kids and I are drinking tea that's high in serum, and it is supposedly higher in serum. And one of my beautiful friends who's a herbalist, we were drinking at her house the other day. She said it's, I think, normal pine needle tea is a lower percentage. This one has a higher percentage, and it is star anise with dandelion leaf. So it tastes good. Even my kids, they're like, oh, what? This actually tastes good, Mum. They were very surprised. So we're drinking that just to help, I guess, with shedding and different things that we could be around in the environment. So really good. I just did a couple of little things of star anise, so like maybe, you know, 2 little things of star anise, or 2.5 to about a tablespoon of dandelion leaf. So it tastes quite good. I do have some cards, and the universe threw some out. So I picked 3 cards to do with third dimensional reality, 3 cards to do with where we're sort of going in this higher dimensional frequency, and the universe threw some out. One of the ones the universe threw out is my bonus card, which this one represents, I call it you choose your own adventure. So this is where we were saying before, you know, you can choose A or B, or you can choose to come back to source in the middle and that God connection. This is what this card represents for me, is, you know, really each path is a different path. It doesn't mean that one is bad for some people and one is bad for others. For those of us that are walking into this high dimensional frequency, we might look at it and go, that feels really wrong to me, like that path. But to that collective and to that group consciousness, maybe they're giving us the control measure. Maybe they're giving us this other energy in order to see just how far, you know, dimensions are shifting right now too. So I'll have a look into those other 2 cards that have come out with collective consciousness just after. But we'll look first of all, and you guys know that I look at my cards face down unless they come up other ways. So that one came out face up. So just looking into, and it's interesting, just placing my hand over this like heaviness is the word that comes to mind. And it feels almost like being frozen in stone. It feels like if we were to look at animation and look at our live natural expressions, you know, hand gestures and the organic nature of what we are on a human level, what I'm feeling with this is almost something being set in stone, set in concrete. It's really binding and stopping that spiritual, how would I say, expression. So it's binding us into this density. It's binding us into a very physical nature. There's definitely like a disconnect that I'm seeing come up with this. They keep showing me it's something set in stone. Okay, I'm just going to put my hands over these other ones just to measure and see. So what I'm seeing with going with that higher frequency, there's that beautiful golden, almost like sunlight frequency that comes in. And I'm feeling it come in as a purification of the heart. And what I'm seeing happen with the body is it actually turning into a light body. I'm seeing the physical density of us starting to, they're giving me the word transpose, which I'm not even sure of what that means, but I'm hearing spirit say it. There's a different energy come in that's working with, we're going through kind of like a transposing type state. I'll flip the cards and we'll see. Okay, this is very interesting. I'll go through, I flipped the first 3 that we're talking about to do with this third dimensional density and this third dimensional weighing down. We've got the card of the devil come up to do with this. Now, what's interesting is we do have this little hieroglyph on here. Oops, where am I? Just here as well. Now, this is actually a very positive message, so much so that I'm going to get my little book that has the Hebrew alphabet in it, and I will actually read it. Now, even though we're seeing that frequency, we're seeing that energy, we're seeing the entrapment of human souls being suppressed. This is literally everything that I was talking about come out in a physical form, a physical card. The one that we see that is being suppressed is this high priestess energy. That's the light, that's that golden sunlight that we're seeing that's trying to come in, that's working with upgrading the spiritual body. Now, where it's got us stuck is we're looking at it from a limited thinking point of view. That's what's holding us in this density. We need to get outside the level of which this is created. So I'll just find this little symbol that we've got, and it's called a yin. So this is a Capricorn energy. There is very much a stubborn will, ego energy about this card. This is the bigger version of the symbol, so you can see it. It's a yin, and it's the 16th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So it says a yin means I, and correspondingly, the a yin has to do with vision and bringing forth lights that are hidden. So if we look at the darkness and the suppression that's taking place, it's a catalyst for bringing the lights forth. So the dark serves its purpose in this way, is what we were saying before. It's a control measure. So Ayin teaches us to see beyond and relates to time. It's the aspect of the visionary to see not just what is happening in front of us, but to envision beyond. It's to know one's direction 5, 10, 100 years from now, ahead and beyond. The pronunciation of Ayin is very different. It's often mispronounced as a silent letter to the Aleph. However, Ayin's correct sound is the guttural throat sound, which stimulates the thyroid gland. Ayin is included in a great number of words associated with time. For example, the Kabbalah teacher talks about his grandfather, a very old man, in the yard of the family house, moving large rocks, clearing the land, creating a garden, and planting trees. And says that the teacher asked, why was the grandfather planting those trees? He was told that they would not mature in time to feed him, but it was to do with the planting of the next generation beyond himself. That vision, it teaches us to understand cause and effect in our lives. And I think that we can see that this vision, or this ulterior motive, has been planned for a very, very long time. We're only seeing it in the window of the now, but this is where we were talking before about what's happening 2-3 years from now. What's happening if we compare current life and situation to the series A Handmaiden's Tale and different things that take place and happen in that. So it says to understand cause and effect in our lives, how past actions lead to future outcomes, and how we think for the future. Ayin implores us to open our eyes to see beyond the physical. The Ayin is meant to take us from dark to light. It urges us to break free from the walls of limitations in order to see what is not yet visible. So that's what I was saying before. Each time that we feel that heaviness, each time that we feel that darkness, it's to shake it off. It's to, feel that layer, that shedding of the old. We're shedding the darkness so that the light can be revealed. So that's what's happening sort of on a third dimensional reality level. On higher and beyond, I just keep feeling this warmth, and I keep feeling this golden light. I'm also seeing pink. I'll just flip these over. This is very interesting because we have aspects of dark and light in both these paths at the moment. So there's a quantum entanglement that's taking place, and it's almost with us trying to go up to this higher frequency. The dark is still trying to infiltrate. So we haven't severed that cord to the darkness as yet. We will see what the universe has to say about it, but we have Prince of Swords coming in. So there is definitely a full charge steam ahead happening with going into this higher dimensional frequency. We see the octahedron in the middle. So an octahedron is, if we look at a fluorite octahedron, it sits going from a cube into an octahedron, into a cube, into an octahedron. There's a morphogenesis that takes place in the ground. So it's not made overnight. This is a process that takes time, and it is able to shift. If we look at us from an electron level, and we look at what's said in the movie Lucy, when she goes into full consciousness and becomes pretty much a limited being, she talks about, she's looking at her hand and she's talking about, with these electrons, it really kind of is our belief system and our sense of awareness. And when we can shift that, we can make those electrons into anything that we want. So if we're having our electrons and our mindset operating in this third lower dimensional frequency, we can shift that. We can change that at any time. We can actually shift the light density with these electrons. So this is about gaining more light. It's also about rushing in and not dilly-dallying and kind of taking our time with it. We need to be doing it now. We need to be doing it yesterday, which a lot of us have been lucky to, be doing these things the last 20 plus years and even some beyond. what we do see is 5 of discs come in here as well. So there is definitely a suppression that's trying to come in and suppress, disconnect from source. I don't want to go into that too much because we're very aware of it. But what we see when we actually take back our power and we really start to connect with this source, here's that golden sun energy that I kept feeling and seeing when I had my eyes closed, hands over. I kept feeling this frequency come in. So the sun is our friend in regards to this shift that's coming onto the planet at the moment, or onto this realm or this plane. So we have all of the elements, earth, air, fire, and water with these discs. And the fifth element that comes in through the top is light. So if we look at, and I use a lot of movies as metaphors because our consciousness understands and feels into what it was like that moment in those movies. We have Capricorn energy with this as well. This is like will. It's a battle of wills, and it's a battle of this high achievement between dark and light. So with this, we see with the sun frequency coming in and with this light, it's to know that we are, just like Mila Jovovich in the fifth element, we do have that perfect DNA. And when these things go in place, when these ascension energies and this shift that we're seeing happen with the planets and everything, we saw it December 21st, Carrie and I were there, at Uluru, and we saw this blue portal frequency that I'd been talking about manifesting at the start of the year. We saw that manifest in the sky in December 21st. We've still got the same planetary conjunctions just recently, that what we started then, we're still in the continuation of it. So it's not that we're like fully anchored in this higher dimensional realm, but this talks about having all of the elements set up in place so that we can shoot as much light out of our physical temple, our physical being, as much as possible. So what the universe has to say about this, it's coming back into the place of the heart, come back into the place of that heart-mind connection. It's to kind of close out from fear, close out from suppression. It is to make the contact with people that are working with building this new reality, that are working with anchoring these new higher dimensional frequencies. What's important to say about this too is we have this water, we have this moat, and with every castle we have that that door that can come up and down. So we need to also shield ourselves. It's to not be blind. We can still see from the top of the castle different things that are coming onto the battlefield, but we need to shield, and we need to be in conscious of awareness. Aware, that's not even a word, but I'm hearing spirit say awareness, awareness of when something comes into our field. We have that choice to disconnect from it. We have that choice to choose a different path. So the universe is talking about what they're seeing play out. We have 5 of Swords. This is defeat on a mental level. This is mind games, or what we call war games, happening on a very mental level. This is a battle of the ego. It's a battle of the intellect. So we must not play into this. We need to continue that path that we started last year and December 21st. This card for me is representing the Visca Pisces. It represents moving from one dimensional state into another. The universe is telling us that we're shifting, but we all have conscious free will to choose one path or the other. So let me just get things in alignment. So I don't know about everyone else, but I'm definitely choosing adjustment rather than like this energy. And we can see this is a spiritual inversion. It's a suppression. It's trying to play God, essentially, what it is. So we need to become beacons of light. We need to hold this higher frequency. We need to shine this light out of our physical bodies. So this is very much like we need to take control on a diet level, meditation level. We need to be the guardians. We need to be making sure that we're watching what we're consuming, that we're not getting too entrapped, but still to keep that eye on the surrounds and the outside of this castle. So it's not to meditate and be all like love and light. I'm going to blast this with love and light. No, we need to be sending those I do not consent forms to send into Medicare and to take myself off registers and things like this. So we still need to govern ourselves on a physical level because we're still in the body temple. So I hope that kind of looks at it from a different point of view on the, but yeah, Spirit was just telling me look into the 2 dimensions.
Oh, I love it. And what's coming through for me is that we have to remember that in the inverted reality, the Cabal system understands human emotion and human psychology so well, perhaps more than we even know it within ourselves. So if this is where we're working, then we always stay a few steps ahead. But in that inverted reality, they're dangling carrots that we feel are the right way. So it's all the concepts of working for the greater good, doing it for your fellow man. So they're constantly tugging at the heartstrings of making sure that you're looking after each other. And decent humans are loving. Of course, they want to look after each other. But in this inverted reality, we are being sold into systems and paradigms that are just that, inverted. If we go and turn it right way up, yes, of course, we are working, maybe instead of greater good, we'll say higher good. We need to stay very, very vigilant of what these terms that are being thrown around at the moment are about and how they twist the reality and how they get us to plug into their inversion and therefore into, as you said, they're wanting to play God, and they plug us into their, we'll call it quantum, but it's a quantum AI, artificial intelligence system.
Yeah.
Opposed to plugging into, it's innate within us, encoded within us to want to plug into something quantum, but the quantum field is where we are all equal, is the God, goddess source code in which we are all sovereign. We all maintain our freedoms, our free will. You've got to always inquire within yourself, what does it mean to be God, goddess, incarnate here, having this third dimensional experience? If I'm being sold something by the political systems or the mainstream media that does not feel in resonance to what that template of God, goddess, source code is, then part of the inversion. But be aware, they're dangling these terms that make you want to activate from the heart space, because of course you're a good person, you want to look after everyone. But we have to be very vigilant, and we have to really look so closely and feel into it. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. If people want to criticize you then for taking another road, that's okay too. We're having to dismantle the part of us that's a people pleaser at the moment. Not here to please anyone. We're here to rise in consciousness. We've got to go for broke like we never have before.
Definitely.
Consciousness journey. It is absolutely go time. There's no more time to waste. You mentioned, Solreta, people have been on the path for many, many years already. And I do want to hold space for the people that are quickly learning about some of these concepts. It's almost like they're doing a university degree in, well, it's been nearly 18 months now since, the big lockdown of the world, that big event took place. So people are kind of, running to keep up. And I want to congratulate those people who are diving down rabbit holes and doing the research, as well as meditating and doing their sound healing and getting out into nature and it's not complicated. To be on a spiritual path actually is the most simple thing of all. Bare feet on the ground, get your sun. You spoke about the sun code before, the Ra codes. Drinking our herbal teas, herbal elixirs, eating from nature, light-coated food, organic fruits and vegetables. Actually, it's not difficult at all. But where the challenge may be is reframing our whole way of thinking and having to really accept that, yes, we have been lied to, but who has lied to us? In a quantum sense, we have lied to ourselves. The cabal is us. Now, I know some people have difficulty absorbing that and accepting that, but if you don't accept that it's all us, as in we're one stream of consciousness in that monadic realm, then you render yourself powerless to make any true changes. If you say, I am the cabal, I am the one who has manipulated, I am the one who has lied, I am the one that has tried to take people's power, I am the one that has sought to control, I am the one that wanted all the glory for myself. If we accept those aspects of self, if we integrate, heal, alchemize, meaning turn it from lead to gold, and this is what the spiritual path is about, from carbon to crystalline. This is what Mother Earth herself is doing. If we look at the astrology wheel and the galactic cycle, it's happening anyway for Mother Earth. Are you going to go with her, or are you going to go into that other road that we've been talking about, which is a perfect experience as well? So we move out of language of right or wrong, and we move into, what do I need to do to honor the choices of, I'm assuming that everyone listening here is wanting to go into the ascension pathway. Well, therefore, what can you do? Well, you integrate what's in darkness. You accept that those nefarious tricksters, those troublemakers, those archontic forces are yourself, maybe a past timeline. But I mean, I know if I'm really vigilant and honest with myself, of course, I'm still carrying those traits in the now moment. And this is after running a consciousness business and doing really hardcore inner work for 20 odd years, not to mention I was born very psychic. I can remember past lives in India as a yogi. I've been doing this for lifetimes, as has many people listening here. But we're having to clean up our own backyard in order to be empowered to move into this ascension timeline. Solreta, there's so many beautiful comments and questions. Let's see if I can get to some questions. And because we're already at an hour.
Just while you're mentioning that too, what you just said, I just had to also, I'm not sure how many people are aware. I know within my local community and my little tribe, we're all aware of not only just things being broadcast on MSM, but also psychotronically broadcast too. So there's people that are getting downloads, or what they feel is perhaps like their own mind going, oh, perhaps it's not that bad, or perhaps, it really is there to protect us. But those who meditate, those who work with consciousness and understand, or work even, with guides and things like that, can hear that that's not their true soul voice. And they're telling it to F off, because you don't want that kind of thing projected into your mind, trying to get you to go along with a controlled narrative that does not resonate with you. So really important to be super vigilant over your thoughts and to realize what's your thoughts, what's not your thoughts at the moment. I just wanted to mention that because there's not many people talking about that kind of psychotronic warfare, but it is happening. And I've heard it firsthand from quite a few people now.
Oh, exactly. I mean, and this is the thing with the Cabal. They are master metaphysicians. You've got to become a master metaphysician to know what you're dealing with. They know how to bring the sound coding in. They know how to bring the flashes of color and light in. They know how to use all the geometric coding and frequencies to twist the reality to their agenda. Now, is their agenda wrong? Well, I'm going to say I don't like it, but kudos to them for having an agenda and being very conscientious about implementing their steps on a day-by-day basis. Are humans doing the same thing? It's the humans that are the lazy ones.
Yeah.
That are going, oh, well, someone look after me and it'll be all right and I'll just love and light away. As I said earlier, like, no, guys, it's go time. Become a master metaphysician. Get off your butt. And I don't mean work harder. I mean go and meditate more. Go and get in nature more. Let the codes come in. They will come in. If you set the environment in the right way, the codes will come in. You've got to stay open to it. You've got to be aware of what are you putting in your gob, what are you bathing in, what are you putting on your skin, all of these things. It's not difficult. I have to repeat, it's not difficult. So what Solreta and I are saying here today actually is the most simplistic way to live. You're not being asked to do anything challenging. You're actually being asked to just take away all of the programming and all of the layering and all of the lies and the deception that's been fed to you, and get back to just natural, organic self. And when you are back at that point, it all floods in, that knowing, that intuition. And darling, I know we could talk all day. There was a question back here. Let me see. So many beautiful comments coming in. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ray.
Let's just see. There was a comment back here. If I can grab that. And here's a good, it wasn't this one I was looking for, but this is a great question. So Ben Thompson, what do we need to do when this suppression energy is coming down on us? Well, we've kind of just spoken to that. And I have to say what's fascinating about people's questions is that when people ask questions, it almost is an answer in itself. The fact that you're posing the question means that there's a part of you that already knows the answer. There's a part of you that is so deep in self-inquiry that the power is actually in the question. And from the question, whether we answer it today or whether you answer it for yourself via your intuition, or whether it comes in, as we spoke earlier today with those cosmic downloads and uploads, books falling off shelves, memes being sent to you at the right time, whatever it is, the answers are there. There's a great, for some reason I'm getting when I speak to you, sorry, it's always interesting. Movies and music comes through for me. And there's a great song by Live, and this line's coming through, which is, let me just get this right. Don't try to find the answers when there ain't no question here. Meaning we already know it all. We already know it all. If we just go silent, if we just go into stillness, or if we pose the question, but then via the question we know that we have the answer, then we don't have to be in a state of struggle, grasping, seeking, controlling. It's already here within us. And this is what the super nature that's activating within us is, that it's here in this now moment, just by being present, just by feeling, by trusting. Again, I have to repeat that. We're all intuitive. Turn up your trust meter. Trust what you know. Trust what you know. I've been having all sorts of galactic communication coming in. I'm like, am I crazy? Yeah, probably. Is there gold in what's being said to me? Absolutely there is. Absolutely there is.
I love it. I resonate with what you're saying.
Yeah, amazing. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Tina. I'm going way back. So we've probably covered all of this. And Solreta, is there anything else that you would like to say before we close off for today? And obviously, if anyone would like a reading with Solreta, I know she's so popular. She's booked out way until the end of the year. So
I'm starting to book a little even into January, which is a great time to have a reading, because it really helps you to look at your year ahead. So I know the January spots will be filling up quickly too. And I also saw Jeff, I think it was Skull, on here said, have I checked my inbox? My inbox has been inundated because I've just had a birthday. So I've got so many messages to get back to. It's just to find the time between homeschool and work and everything. So I'm trying my best to get back to people.
Awesome, darling. Well, thank you so much. I wish I could get to all of these beautiful
comments. There's so many beautiful comments. And look, I think just to recap, I think we've covered pretty much like what's happening in both kind of places for the now, third dimension and beyond. It really is just about sovereignty and looking at our sovereignty on all levels. Do we have sovereignty with the physical? So, it might be some people setting up a veggie garden, or, getting together with friends and you're each growing different things. It might be about spiritual sovereignty, or it might be about, sovereignty of the mind and really filtering what it is that we take in and consume on that level too. But the most important thing, I guess, is to, be connected to higher self, be connected to source, to run that through the body, run that through this physical avatar, and live as these gods and goddesses walking on the planet.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you, my darling. It's always a great pleasure.
Thanks, Carrie.
To share energy. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in, the awesome questions and comments, but also to Solreta and I can definitely feel your frequency. And I think that's the most fun part of doing a live, is that we literally feel your energy. And it just bolsters us all up. Everyone who's in this tribe together, and Solreta's tribe and my tribe, and, just the soul tribe in general. So thank you all so much, and we're going to do a regular chat with Solreta and get more cosmic downloads. So we'll see you all again soon. Much love, everyone.
I can't wait. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Carrie.
Bye.